I'll sleep when I'm dead. Don't you want a Lamborghini? That LA mansion with the infinity pool doesn't pay for itself. I can work harder, faster, better than anybody else. Sure, I can work 40 hours straight, no sleep, no food, no bathroom breaks. It's all mindset. I bought into hustle culture for a really long time, and it did bring me some amount of success. But it got me thinking, is toxic hustle culture really necessary in order to become successful? Hustle culture led me down a really dark path, including fainting spells, competitiveness, and eventually a complete career change, which is why I quit my job at Disney. In order to really explain what hustle culture does to someone, I kind of need to go back to the beginning, high school. I, like most creative people, discovered my dream job in high school. I wanted to do something creative in the entertainment industry. And I also knew that I was fighting against the stereotype of the starving artist. I knew there would be a very, very high chance that I would fail, so by the time I went to college, I had raging imposter syndrome. I genuinely thought I am the worst artist in this entire school. I don't even know how I got in. I think it was a fluke, but I'm here and it's sink or swim. So the way I dealt with my imposter syndrome was tell myself that I can work harder than anybody else. In fact, that's not an option for me. I have to work harder than everybody else in order to just get as good as everybody else, especially since I felt like I was so behind in skill. That was the beginning of my obsession with working hard. That resulted in two things: sleep deprivation and competitiveness. Let's just say there was a competitive aspect to how little you slept because you work so hard. On average, my first 2 or 3 years of college, I probably slept 3 to 4 hours a night, if that. I definitely had that kind of like, oh, look at me, I'm so special, I work so hard, I don't sleep, I have bags under my eyes. I wore that as a badge of honor or something, and a lot of people did. In fact, now that I think about it, it's kind of ironic that so many of us kind of had that mentality, because that is the epitome of not being very special or unique, especially at that school. Because of the lack of sleep, I became a lot more nasty, a lot more judgmental, and well, I was already very competitive. And honestly, most people were. Like, imagine putting a bunch of sleep-deprived people in a room together. We are going to snap at each other because we need sleep. If you were to have a camera crew follow any one of us in that school, you'd probably have next-level Bachelor-style drama, which explains why on The Bachelor and other reality TV shows, they sleep-deprive people and ply them with alcohol. The next thing that started happening to me was my health started to fail. I don't know if you can tell, but I'm still very, very young. I didn't think much of it, but in college I would have fainting spells. I didn't eat proper meals, unless you consider vending machine burritos. Tell me if you can relate. Not the healthiest things for you. I wouldn't exercise, and I was experiencing chronic stress. For example, in between terms, aka semesters, I would wake up in a panic thinking I just failed all my classes because I missed my final. But when I wake up, I realize I'm not in school anymore, but I would have these type of nightmares every single term without fail. If you're young and you really subscribe to hustle culture, you think, oh, that's no big deal to get what you want. Oh, the ignorance of youth. When you're young, you don't really think much of your health. You think you're gonna live forever, you think you're invincible, and you think you're willing to do all sorts of things to your body because it's worth it in the end. Well, by the time I graduated around 21, 22, I finally went to the doctor's office for the first time in, I wanna say, about 4 years. Basically the length of time I was in college. Other than the fact that I had gained a lot of weight because I didn't exercise, sleep, or eat properly, I also had a lot of chronic stress issues. A lot of health issues that a 21, 22-year-old should not have. At this point, I'm just thankful I didn't take this so far compared to a lot of the Japanese workers who basically work until they literally die. Soon after, I got my, in quotes, dream job in my dream industry, and it seemed like it was all worth it, except eventually you start to realize this toxic hustle culture will follow you throughout your life. But for some reason, I didn't put 2 and 2 together, that if my school subscribes to this really toxic hustle culture, so does the industry that I am entering. I guess that kind of goes for any high-paying corporate job. There is an aspect of hustle culture in it. It's a more grown-up version of the, look at me, I'm so special, I'm working so hard, I'm not sleeping. In fact, you're kind of rewarded for having that attitude. You might get a promotion because of it. You might get paid more. In fact, this attitude is really, really normal in these work cultures. In a way, you are intentionally surrounding yourself with other people who are very into toxic hustle culture. But unlike college, where you had things like winter break, summer vacation, spring break, that kind of thing, you don't get those when you start working. You just have to work and earn your 2 weeks of vacation days every single year for the rest of your life. So eventually you experience some sort of burnout. But what's actually happening is you're simply less productive. No matter how much sleep you get, no matter how much vacation time you get, no no matter how much money you have to spend on nice things and travel and nice experiences, nothing seems to help you get out of your funk. Small things that used to require absolutely no effort for you to accomplish at work suddenly feel like it's taking 10,000 years. How intensely I worked did eventually give me success, but I wasn't happy. I had a lot more money and status and things, but I didn't have any time to enjoy any of it. I was just tired all the time, and I was wondering, when will I be happy? I got my dream job in my dream industry. I got money, I got things, still not happy. What made it particularly sad for me was I felt like I had wasted my entire 20s. Sure, you have your fancy job. You were able to buy your $300 anime figure. Maybe you got a nice big hot tub or a expensive Tesla. But I missed out on a lot of things other people got to experience in their early 20s. My relationship with my friends and family suffered. I would forget birthdays, Thanksgiving, Christmas. I had spent so much time hustling in my career, I realized I didn't experience much as a human being. I realized a job and a career will never make you happy. It just took away time that I will never, ever get back. Time that I could have spent on much more important things in life. I also realized that my job was also attached to hustle culture. But unlike high school or prison, I had the choice to leave. I think a lot of people don't consider what it means to leave a high-paying corporate job. You're not just giving up the money. That's actually the smallest aspect of that. When you are surrounded by these types of people, they are your friends, your family, your coworkers. When you decide to change and not subscribe to that lifestyle, a lot of them will get mad at you. Not because you did anything wrong or did anything to them, but simply because you decided to live life in a different way. They will feel like, what's wrong with the way I'm living? They feel like what you're doing is an attack to their very existence. I 100% would have traded the time I spent hustling so hard just to get my dream job so early in life for another reality where I take a lot longer to get to the place I'm in right now, but I had experienced a lot more important things in life. The thing is, when I left, I didn't want to fall into the exact same traps that I fell into when I was an employee for someone else, which I very quickly did once my I quit my job video went viral. Once you start working for yourself, you tend to overwork yourself. I was reading Robert Kiyosaki's 4 Quadrants book when I realized, oh, this is very normal, which is why you need to become a business, start delegating tasks. At the same time, I do believe that no amount of success doesn't come with some hard work. I don't think it's really possible to just manifest good things, riches to fall from the sky or something. Instead, I believe in periods of intense work and then rest. So for me, weekends are off limits. I'm no longer allowing myself to work on the weekends because it is very important for me to rest. That way I can be more creative and productive when I am actually working. I don't know if you've experienced this, but when you are constantly putting out fires, you can't really think straight, you can't really be creative or productive. You become a cog in your own machine. Also, I gave up all-nighters a long time ago. For the most part, I do not pull an all-nighter ever if I can help it. I've done that before. No, I don't want to do that anymore. The next thing I'm doing to fix this is the less is more approach. If you've read The 4-Hour Workweek by Tim Ferriss, by the way, I'll have the link to these books down below. He talks about taking a really detailed look at your business, your life. 10% of what you do is contributing to about 90-80% of what is successful, whereas the other 80 to 90% of what you do is just a lot of effort for very little return or no return, period. I like to take a look at my life, my business, and see what I can optimize. Yes, I optimize my life like a fucking robot. I don't know if anyone else can relate, but that's just how I do things. I did that recently and I realized a really important thing. I was putting my efforts into TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and so many other things. Basically posting on every platform imaginable. I realized the one thing that I was doing that was contributing to basically all of my success here on YouTube is YouTube. It's not posting on Instagram, it's not posting on TikTok, but because I was dedicating so much time to all those other things, I didn't have enough time to focus on my YouTube videos and making them better. So I stopped posting on all those other platforms so I can focus on the one thing that is really working for me right now. As a result, I'm having a lot more success without having to hustle so hard. I now have a lot more time to myself and dedicated to learning and making these YouTube videos better. Obviously, or maybe not so obviously, course correcting can be a little bit scary. It feels, if you're anything like me, that you're quitting or something. Your ego will not take that very well. It will kick and scream to continue continue doing the thing that you trained it to do. And for me, I trained myself to be Superwoman. I can do everything. I don't give up. I'm not a quitter. The next thing I now have time to do, because I no longer subscribe to hustle culture, is to do mandatory, important things for me. It includes exercise, spending time with important people in my life, learning, and traveling. This is something I learned from Dr. Stephen Covey's book, 7 Habits of Highly Successful People. In that book, he talks about how most workaholic people spend most of their time on urgent tasks, basically putting out fires everywhere they go, never really doing things that are actually important, the things that will make their life, their business, their relationships 1,000 times better. What is actually important? Usually learning, spending time with people, usually the things that you are too impatient to do when you are too busy hustling. So I've designated at least 2 or 3 hours of treat yourself time every single day. And I have to tell you, that's one of the #1 reasons to my more recent successes. Whether it's taking a bath, which if you don't take baths normally, treat yourself. Side note, this is going to sound a little gross, but I have recently discovered the beauty of personal hygiene. Other unhygienic females, let me know if you are the same. But I would hustle so hard. Sometimes I would forego personal hygiene. Just being honest. You don't lie, you do that too. Don't make me feel like a gross human being, even though I probably am. #TMI. But seriously, exercise, personal grooming, learning, especially taking time to travel and get back to nature or whatever it is for you, it 100% will help you. And guess what? It resulted in me finally achieving happiness. You might be asking, where was it? Was it in an expensive car? Was it in an expensive house? Is it simply because you are finally doing the job that you always wanted? It's simply that I already have it. My #1 mistake was thinking that hustle culture can bring me happiness, that success, a job, a house, a car, or whatever could bring me happiness, when in reality, I just need to be happy. I'm not operating from a source of scarcity, but more from a place of abundance. I know that sounds really hippy-dippy, but here's the translation. I used to think that there's only so much of any one thing for me to have, for everyone to have. So I needed to fight and hustle really hard in order to grab something and hold on to it desperately. Now I understand there's plenty of money, happiness, knowledge to go around. And instead of fighting other people to just grab a little piece of what I think I deserve, I can take my time to get there. In fact, now I can give more than I take. Ironically, once I started doing that, I started receiving a lot more. #too long didn't watch the video. Basically, I still want that mansion, yes, one day, but I'm not willing to trade my left kidney or my first unborn child just to get it. If you like this video, check out these other similar videos next, and don't forget to dare to dream.